Hey everybody, David here. We are about to embark on a brand new journey together. I am starting the process of writing my second record, and I'm going to do it in a brand new way. And part of that is I'm going to bring y'all along for the ride. Songwriting is one of these things that a lot of people do, but nobody really can explain. I'm going to show you at least how I do it. And I want to talk to you about how I'm thinking about music, what inspirations are coming along, what instruments and instrumentation, and what just like mental blocks I'm running into along the way. And today I'm going to write a song and share it with you. This is all about having a practice, because the thing about songwriting is there's two parts. There is the inspiration that just comes to you in a spark when you're not trying, and then there's the craft of finishing a song. I'm going to take a song today that I've got the spark of, that I've got a little bit going with, and I'm gonna finish it off because I also need to just practice finishing songs. So this song all started off because I decided to buy a typewriter. Somebody convinced me that typing just made you write with more intention. There's a physical process to it that makes the words flow a little bit differently. And the night I got this typewriter, I went home and I sat down in front of it and a whole bunch of words came out. And I didn't really know what they were, I didn't really know what they meant. They just flew out of me. I've been thinking a lot about the difference between writing from an internal lens and with an external lens, and trying to balance those things. Most of my life, I'm always just writing when I feel sad or when some of those more challenging emotions arise. But at this stage, I want to be a little bit more externally focused as well. And, you know, with everything going on in the world, I wound up writing like 25 screeds about how the world was fucked up. And that got a little bit boring too. I was thinking about trying to balance that internal and external. And then at some point I came up with this chorus. I'm always thinking, pushing, waiting, rushing, wasting my goddamn time. You know, I'm sitting right here in the same old chair, getting ready for the end of the line. Those words are all about that feeling of getting stuck doing something you don't love. And I feel like that's something that so many of us have been reckoning with. The way in which society makes us sit in a box, get in a cubicle, hop on that hamster wheel day in and day out. It causes so much of this existential dread, you know? That feeling of like rush, stress, busyness, having to do something. For what? That helped me click in with the other words that I'd written. I only think I know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm right that I do. If I'm telling the truth, I only just got a clue. My head's still spinning. I'm learning everything I already knew. Take me back to the end where he gets to the fountain. Show me why she's crying at the top of the world. The other side of climbing is getting your ass down off of the mountain. What do I do now after getting the girl? The other thing that I want to talk about a little bit is production. I am not a producer. I'm an artist. I'm a songwriter. And that's always what I want to be. I don't think there's ever a point where I really want to be the guy that's like manning the controls. But the more that you know about that kind of stuff, not only does that make you a better collaborator, but it also allows me, as I ideate, to like bring in other sounds and elements of music. Rock and roll is about mixing. It's about blending. All of rock and roll, if you look back at its history, it was about taking things from totally different cultures and parts of the world, whether that's folk and blues, country and soul, and really black and white was what brought together rock and roll. Somewhere along the way, we stopped blending in things, and there's been all sorts of new music that we haven't put into that soup. I grew up also listening to hip-hop and R&B and house music. That's never really made its way into rock and roll for me. And so to be able to like do a little bit of stuff on the production end and bring in some of those elements is a really cool way for me to find a sound. So the motto is perfection is the enemy of progress. I've spent way too much time just messing with parameters and plugins and things. So right now for this process, I'm trying to just use stock sounds. I've got, I guess, Valhalla vintage verb on there because it's dope. But other than that, like stock sounds, and just made a little beat just to give ourselves some rhythm. So here's what we're working with, just to give ourselves a little bit of something. And you can hear I tried to throw in some like samples, some things to make it feel a little bit more hip-hoppy to go along with what I think will also have some acoustic guitar. Fun fact, all of Bon Iver's first record, For Emma Forever Ago, was recorded with an SM57. That $90 microphone right there. So you don't need anything super fancy. That's another important thing to keep in mind. Like I said, I've been thinking about blending different vibes and styles. Been listening to a lot of like Mac Miller, Frank Ocean, even the newer Kendrick Lamar. You know, dudes have been sing rapping, doing that Drake thing for a while now. But I think those guys have taken it to a different place where, like, if especially you listen to like Circles, the record by Mac Miller that came out after he passed away, it's almost like he's like crooning, but in a hip-hop context. It's a new style of using your voice to express yourself. Coming from a place where I grew up listening to a lot of Paul Simon, Bruce Springsteen, Joni Mitchell, they wrote rapid-fire lyrics with lots of internal rhyme and lots of that rhythm to it. That's also very similar to what a traditional hip-hop style does, right? It's all about that rhythm and cadences. And so, yeah, I was just thinking about, like, how can I blend some of that? Close your eyes, free your mind, visualize a ray of white light. It's like if Buddha smoked an ounce a day. Anesthetize my brain to keep sane, cause the world keeps saying the same thing, just same thinking. Next thing I knew I needed was a tag. You know, the influences I was hearing in my head were like Use Me by Bill Withers, Superstition, Stevie Wonder. Another fun fact for you, Superstition was originally written by Stevie for Jeff Beck, the ever sleeveless guitar shredder. So further evidence that all this stuff, genre is like, all overlaps, right? It's an E-flat pentatonic groove. That's about as rock and roll as Stevie Ray Vaughan as you can get. But, you know, Superstition is about as classic soul of an example as there exists. Not to mention it's an early progenitor of funk music. He's playing all that clav stuff with the filters on it and the wah. Look, it's just about how you play it. It's just about how groovy you are. The songs are, to me, just rock and roll songs. So I was stuck on that chorus needing a tag for like months. I think I just came up with something. I've been talking a lot lately as we're sort of re-emerging from this post-pandemic world. That first wave, there's this like odd nostalgia for that time period where everything just fell away. Obviously there was so much tragedy and sadness and it was scary, but that ability to just see all of these responsibilities, all of these things that the world tells you is so essential, become not essential at all anymore. I don't know, there was something oddly beautiful about it in all the tragedy. So I came up with this line thinking about that. Thank God for the end of the world, and I've been feeling fine. All right, now here comes the hard part. I gotta finish this motherfucker. Verse 2 coming up. All right, what we didn't just capture on camera was me eating a bunch of food, watching some of the Yankees game. Skip and come back is a lesson I've learned in life. When you're stuck on something, you gotta walk away from it. And finally I got it. I was trying to get some words down that like match the same kind of structure as the first one, whereas the first set of words were talking a lot about like not knowing what you're doing and trying to find a sense of purpose. Second verse was also a little bit more I guess, self-chastising about not feeling content ever. And I do feel like that's something that we deal with these days. I only wish I did what I'm doing. 'Cause every damn chance that I do, I got one foot in and a voice in my head saying you better not mess with a good thing. Halfway ain't got nobody fooled. Take me back to the place where I'm making a fortune. Can't you see me crying when I'm trying to lose? What do you want more of when you got a house looking out on the ocean? Don't forget it's you, my friend, making the rules. Another thing I've been working on a lot lately, as you can maybe tell, I'm singing more in this like baritone range of my voice. I used to always like really push for those big notes. Those are still cool, but like you gotta use them sparingly. So second verse, jump up the octave, get it a little bit more powerful, but don't do that all the time because then it's not as cool. Okay, so I know I said I was only gonna use stock plugins, but the point is also to have some fun, and I'm rapping, so why not? This also helps me feel slightly more comfortable with the sound of my own voice. So I threw a little bit of that vocal bender. You can do this with a stock Ableton pitch shifter. I happen to have this thing. It makes it really easy, and I'm just messing with the formant, so it gets a little bit of that weird double sound in there. P.S. I definitely went too heavy on it. That's another lesson for you.
I've been fine with losing my mind. Yes, it's like I'm doing traveling asylum. It's mindless. I just can't wait one more day before my brain self-melts. Let's just say how.
I'm fucking rapping. I don't know. Bridge time. I'm stealing from another song. I started writing this chorus the other day that felt really cool, but it also felt like everything else that I was writing. And I don't want to keep writing the same song over and over again. We're going to modulate up to the 4 chord because we haven't heard that chord yet, and it'll kind of change up your ears a little bit to give us a new harmonic texture.
It's terrifying, but it's alright. It's terrifying, but it's alright. It's terrifying, but it's alright. It's terrifying, but it's alright, alright, alright. I'm just thinking, pushing, waiting, rushing, wasting my goddamn time. You know, I'm sitting right here in the same old chair, getting ready for the end of the line. I'm thinking, pushing, waiting, rushing. It's a goddamn crime, you know, no lie. Thank God for the end of the world, 'cause I've been feeling fine.
And that's it. I just finished the song. Thank you guys for hanging out with me while I did it. I don't know what this song is going to become, but it feels like a good thing to just finish it and share it. That's the important part. And if you liked this kind of thing, let me know. Smash that subscribe button. So if there's particular topics that you want me to talk about as I'm making these, or things that you thought were cool, let me know, because I'm learning on the fly, and I really appreciate all the help and support. Cheers, y'all.
It's terrifying, but it's alright.